Across many communities, vulnerability continues to create pathways to exploitation, particularly for women and children. Now, strengthening protection systems has never been more important. Because what does it take to move from responding to trafficking to preventing it? And how do we strengthen our communities to protect women and children before exploitation even begins? Today, we're having that conversation. I'm Ruth, Joshua, and you are welcome to Empower. Joining me to unpack this reality is Mrs. Imaobong Ladipo-Sanusi. She is the Executive Director of Women Trafficking and Child Labor Eradication Foundation, WOTCLEF, and she serves as the North Central Zonal Coordinator for the Network Against Child Trafficking, Abuse and Labor, NACTAL, collaborating closely with bodies where she leads programs focused on preventing human trafficking, protecting vulnerable populations, strengthening referral systems, and promoting collaborative responses to violence against women and children. She is a development expert, mental health therapist, and child protection specialist with extensive experience in victim support, child protection, and anti-human trafficking advocacy. Her core clinical focus is on adverse childhood experiences, trauma-informed care, and mental health and psychosocial support. I beg your pardon. It's a pleasure to have you join us today, ma'am.
Thank you, Ruth, for having me.
I'm really happy that we're having this conversation. And I'm really happy that you decided to join us for this conversation. It was like, I just reached out to you. I'm so, I like to say, impressed by your unwavering service, because it's like, I just said, please, we'll need you to come on and talk about this, and you just packed your bags and say where and when. I'm really, really glad that you're able to do this.
I'm also delighted that you're doing this, Ruth.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you so much. So, across your work, for more than 2 decades now, you have shown consistent support to women and children, especially as regards protecting them from exploitation. I'd like to know, where did this inspiration come from?
Okay. So, when I was 16, there was a woman, she was a pediatric nurse. She just returned from England. That was about 1986. So somehow, I sing. So whenever I sing, she said she's pleased, that she feels elated.
Yeah.
So she asked me who I live with and where I am. I said I'm with my parents, and then she came to visit.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was just doing something like family investigation. So she now told my father that I speak Ibibio and I speak Yoruba.
Okay.
So she told my father that since I can understand Yoruba, that she would like to be, going out with me, that I should volunteer, that's it. So that's how I started volunteerism. And the first major work we did was back to school, UNICEF support for children in Ondo State. And I happened to be the person who would do some of those field works. Good enough, we met a very stubborn man who didn't want the child to, some parents, I don't know, but they don't trust you. So they didn't want the child to participate in the support.
Yeah.
And I spoke language. I just spoke language and it brought. So that's how it started anyway, from volunteerism. And then I just realized, well, maybe that helped me to discover who I am. So that when I went to University of Nigeria, Nsukka, I also, from this woman, there was a network called African Network for the Prevention and Protection Against Child Abuse and Neglect. So Mama takes me along with her. We go to meet with that was when I understood stakeholders' engagement.
Yes.
It's the Oloris, the Deji of Akure, the commissioners. So they thought I was her child. So from there, when I went to the university, I said, I'm going to start this club. And I started establishing Child Rights Club. The Child Rights Convention came in 1989.
Yes.
I just said, well, this is what I can share. I just knew that just share what you have. Then I was posted to Yobe State. Wow. When I got to Yobe State, I saw children on the street. Wow. I just saw children on the street. I was wondering, wow.
Yes.
At this age, so somehow I started Child Rights Club in public and private schools. And then I approached the wife of the late Compol, that is ministry administrator, Mrs. Obunele Benkalu. And I told her what I was going to do. Then I approached another Milad, that is Compol Milad wife,
Yes.
Mrs. Dabalu. I told her what I wanted to do. I told the Women Affairs Commissioner, if you check my Facebook page, you see a page, I was sitting with the governor's wife. She said, how can a copper come like this and start opening her eyes to what is happening? I just knew that the street is not the right place for children to be. I don't know what I could have been doing, but I knew that the advocacy was the proper thing.
Yeah.
Through the African Network for the Prevention and Protection Against Child Abuse and Neglect. And people were coming out, commissioners, women. I can remember that day, I'm telling you, women were sitting on the floor, were sitting with the governor's wife, big copper.
Yeah.
Then we now continued like that. The awareness intensified. Suddenly, we started taking children out of the street, I'm telling you, enrolling them into school, because education is one of the pathways to help children.
True.
Enrolling children in schools and also enlightening the mothers, the wives. No, people started listening, and before you know, I was co-opted into the task force, UNICEF's task force, social mobilization task force for children, for child protection, survival, development, and participation. That was a task force. Before you know, we were just transversing up and down in Yobe State. It had 13 local governments then. That's it, Ruth. I just knew that, let me just add my voice.
Yes.
And I never knew that it would be that loud because I was a copper, I was just a young girl. I was just there to say, no, I just knew children should be protected. When you see, in those days when you're traveling, you see children in the park, unkept, with one plate. That plate, if you have water to give them, they'll collect. If you have okra soup, it was so pathetic. But sincerely, you won't believe me, Ruth. I also became a journalist. And I won BBC Award 3 times on that.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, that is how I grew and grew and grew and grew. When it came to Abuja, we left at the peak 2009 with my family. With my husband, is also a media personality. We left at the peak of that insurgency.
Yeah.
We came to Abuja. I just realized, I said, okay, I was actually in the National Assembly, but I don't know, I don't think I was getting fulfilled. I said, I want to, mine is to have, I am human-centric, people-centric.
Yeah.
I wanted contact, I wanted to do something. So I started a 1-month camp for adolescent girls, my estate. I went around schools, went out to parents, 30 girls. Airtel sponsored me. We had a whole 1 month like camp, summer camp.
Yes.
We engaged on, on psychosocial puberty, development, mental, just topics that could give soft skills to girls.
Yes.
And then, as a journalist, I invited all other of my friends then, FRC and NT. And NT came to my sitting because it held my sitting. It was quite a large sitting.
Yeah.
People even thought I was going to run a school there.
Okay.
NTA came, and lo and behold, I was on AM Express. I want to thank Alhaji Umar, the deputy director programs then. He said, if you're thinking of doing things like this, I said, because I see that children, especially the girl child, they are neglected. I see parents are busy. That's what I saw in Abuja. Busy, and they were really exposed to a lot of abuse. So we did a lot of preventive and safe space skills for the girls. It was a beautiful one, I'm telling you. So that is how. Then in that program, invited NAPTIP, the Director of Counseling and Rehabilitation, Mrs. Elizabeth. She now said, Imaobong, I just love because it was a curriculum we worked on, different curriculum for the adolescent girls, And then my daughter turned 10, my first daughter. So I brought her peers together for that summer camp. Then she now said, I want you to, in NAPTIP, let me connect you to WOTCLEF. Mrs. Umoro, she's now 84 now. Yeah. She's retired. She said, let me connect you with her. And that's his history. That's how I got to WOTCLEF. And when I got to WOTCLEF, there was a child protection justice clinic. Yes. And now as a psychologist, I was one of them there. So the founder of WOTCLEF, Her Excellency, comes and says, Imaobong, he told Mrs. Umaro, let's engage her and let's pull her into WOTCLEF.
Yes.
And lo and behold, Ruth, that's the story. I don't know. That's how it happened.
It's such an inspiring story, ma.
Thank you.
Because I'm listening to you and I'm even imagining it like it's a third person telling me the story. But alas, it's the story of your life. It's
Yes.
really inspiring. And you mentioned something that is really something that goes well with what we do here. You mentioned children.
Yeah.
You mentioned children are not supposed to be on the streets.
No.
When you saw something like that, it was even like news to you.
It just sparked something in me.
Exactly.
And in fact, there was one time, God rest his soul, the Radio Nigeria reporter then, Mr. Laji Musaisa, he said I should come and talk in Hausa. Then I couldn't just speak words of it. He said I should just say anything.
Yes.
I should speak to parents. He just wanted that voice to speak to you. I just said, Bakyo, Gayara Agiri. And the he said, don't worry. That is what he just wanted to pick my voice.
Yes,
that
so
I should address. I'm telling you that the education is good. Yes, I should just speak to the parents.
Yes.
And that was how they said, wow, this girl has energy. Well, sometimes I just believe that if you have a passion for something, it's not always difficult to pursue it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But let's even talk about children. I have a report from UNICEF that will just help us drive the course of our conversation. So, despite progress, child labor still affects 138 million children globally. This is a joint report from ILO and UNICEF.
Very well.
When you see a report like this, what comes to mind?
What comes to my mind is pain. What comes to my mind is adverse childhood experiences, trauma. You said, you read that.
Yeah.
What comes to my mind is backwardness. What comes to my mind is children's dreams being killed. What comes to my mind is that we all have to take responsibility. So let me explain a bit about adverse childhood experiences.
Yes,
you see, childhood adversity is what happens to children when they're in their childhood. And when, let's say, you get an orange and cut it into three, half of it is from household. Then the other half is about neglect and abuse. So in the household, issues of poverty, issues of incarceration of parents, issue of child sexual abuse, blah, blah, blah. Then the neglect, not meeting up children's needs and so. So all these things combined together make childhood very bitter. And childhood is everything. When you look at Erickson's developmental theory, it takes from childhood till adulthood. That's a circle. But in childhood, when you are not able to discover yourself, Ruth, it's difficult for you to even discover yourself in teenagehood, in adulthood. But sometimes, like in this part of the world, it is when we grow up, we now discover what we have to do. In some other climes, if a child says he's going to be a dancer, the child starts to do that dance in school. I don't know how to put it, that dancing. The child continues in that line. But childhood adversity is so bad that most of the traumatic experiences we are going through and unhealed trauma experiences stem from there. Because these are things that are pushed to our subconsciousness like a root, a tree. I always say the analogy is like a root. You see the fruits. It's the fruits you see. You don't see what is in the roots, actually. So child labor is one of the adverse childhood experiences. And they come in different forms and shape. May I tell you that, Ruth, there are children who are victims of child labor. These are true stories. These are not things written. These are cases from the age of 2. What will a 2-year-old know how to do in keeping house, clean household? But that wasn't bad enough. The child was also sexually molested till the age of 8 until the child was rescued. There's a child from the age of 5. She has traversed different parts of this country. There's a professional movement. And she's tossed here and there. So I want to ask you, child labor is all about everything that affects the child mentally, socially, emotionally, psychologically. Childhood affects the child to the extent that the child misses out in school. In our work in WOTCLEF, when we have done a lot of research, especially in public schools. If you want to get the latecomers, please go to the school and stand there to see those who are latecomers. You will find out, I am not exaggerating, that 9 out of 10 are house helps. What have they done? They are taking the madam's child to school. They have washed, they have scrubbed, they have done everything. They have even made some food, they have cooked. And now they are coming at the second period or third period. They are coming late. And when they are coming, that little peace and comfort that they are sitting, they are dozing up, they are sleeping.
Of course, they are tired.
So child labor is so painful that it does not only occur in cities, it occurs also in rural areas, especially when you have to place children in hazardous labor. Hazardous labor has to do with working in the mines, working in cocoa farms, you see, working in farms. These things do not help children to build their dreams. Why, Ruth? Everybody, I repeat, everybody, no matter their status, no matter their creed, no matter their culture or whatever, no matter their skin, whatever, have dreams and talents. So child labor does not allow children to explore those dreams and talents, because children have their natural talents.
Definitely.
So the truth is, in submission to that, child labor can never break the cycle of poverty. You know the in thing now? Look around. Go to new estates. You see child labor, koro written. Those children come to work in the estates. They just loiter around. Have you ever entered some markets, modern markets in Abuja? I don't want to mention them. You see traffic of children pushing wheelbarrows, and in the evening, at night, they sleep inside gutters and streets. Please go find out. We see children, victims of child labor, who come even to rich houses, so to say. They sleep under the staircase. How would you function psychologically when somebody has dehumanized you to the extent that you can't reason for yourself? It's bad. And it's taking us backward, and backward. Because these are the future leaders. These are the future energy, the potential, the youth. These are people who are going to become adult. So tell me, when you have childhood trauma you have not healed from, you're still going to meet another person and bring out children into this world. What's the need? So child labor is a big issue. And mind you, the US trafficking report always talk about Nigeria being currently Nigeria is on the second tier, because it's graded first tier, second tier, watch list, and the third tier, yes. So Nigeria is always now is the second. Why? Because of issues of child protection. Why are we still having children on the street? Why are we still having child soldiers? Why are we still having children on the move? Why are we still having children who are unaccompanied minors in migration? Those are the issues that will precipitate children into child labor, because sometimes they just see that they want to just help their families. And the family just believe that, okay, one mouth out, it will be better for us, which is a painful thing. Child labor is real.
I totally agree with you saying it's a painful thing. It is. And I think that you've given us some very thought-provoking words to dwell on, because at the end of the day, when we sit back and look at this, the ripple effect is on the future. Because like you rightly said, these children are the future.
They are.
Our generation.
It's just
if they are not in the schools, if they are on the streets, then it means that there's a very serious problem.
A traumatized child becomes a traumatized adult, becomes a traumatized leader.
Yes.
And a traumatized leader traumatizes the nation. Mark it. So if you are not healed from your childhood trauma, there is no way they are going to be an effective leader.
Yeah.
It plays out. It surges. It comes up.
Let's even expand this conversation further, because now we're talking about children. But let's even take it a notch higher. We have a report again that is also going to take us on this. Now, sexual exploitation accounts for 79% of human trafficking cases, with women and girls most affected. So now we've established trafficking. We're moving to sexual exploitation, and as affects women and girls. Let's have your thoughts, ma.
So I think you remember during COVID,
Yes.
that was 2000,
2000.
and the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs
Yeah.
said there was a report, the statistics of the number of victims they got. Even somebody shouted, where did they get this from? So 1/3 of every woman has been exposed to this kind of abuse. This is what we are saying. You see, when you have been exposed to trauma and you don't heal, when you have traumatic experiences, it's going to have impact on your mental health. Mental health is how we think, feel, and act. So now, since you have traumatic experiences, and then it's going to result to something anyway, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. Sometimes people want to cope. People want to fill in. See, it's just like a hole. Trauma is just like a hole. It's just like what is this scientific name? Just something like a hole that you can't fill.
Yeah.
So you will want to try to fill it up with something. And that is where addiction comes. Ruth, pornography is a new drug. Is a new drug. So people feeling with pornography, people feeling with drugs, people feeling with maybe eating addiction, people feeling with substance abuse.
Yeah.
So now when you have consumed pornography, it's just like the dive, when you're diving from a cliff. Is it possible for you to suspend that dive? You must
fall, definitely.
You must do that act. So, and then when you are unhealed from a particular trauma, there is a tendency that you are going to do it back to the people. So look at when it comes to child sexual abuse. Most children who are victims of child sexual abuse will also do that to, one, their peers. Two, grow up and become such, because it's an abuse. Something has happened to the psyche. So most victims will now victimize others. So it comes in different forms, sexual and gender-based violence. So the lockdown, the COVID experience did not help matter. Why? Because the victim and the perpetrator were now in the same space. When it is morning, children go to school, mother, father, but this was everybody in the same space. It was not helpful because, another trauma is just about sudden experience that makes you helpless, even disconnected. So it was sudden, it was helplessness.
Yeah.
And definitely some people they earn their living daily.
Yes.
So people couldn't go out. So, and you see, when it is now becoming very difficult, people now find a way to cope. Remember? And some coping leads to addiction. You understand? So the pain, how to express the pain and everything, which is not the proper coping mechanism. You see it?
Yeah.
So people now, to build resilience was not so easy with everybody, nations, country. And that wasn't enough. We now had our own national issues. That was global.
Yes.
We now had our own national issue, cashlessness policy, isn't it? We had war in Ukraine.
Yes.
You see, how does that affect you? The price of bread and, things, the wheat and everything. Yeah. It was affecting the family. Because I, as a man, I earn 1,000. I'm giving you, tell me you cannot buy a loaf of bread again. There's going to be issues in the family. There's going to be friction. You see? So I'm trying to say that we have experiences as individuals. We have experiences as community. We have experience as a nation. And we have experiences as humans. You understand? But it depends on how you understand, that is self-awareness, that you understand that, well, this is what I should do. Are you self-aware? That is it. Are we all self-aware? Then if you are self-aware, what do you think you can do to heal? You see, this topic is not about mental health now. So most of the times, the head of the home, blah, 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 even the children themselves, they are going through a lot that they become very helpless. So all in all, I'm trying to say that we have been exposed to so much. We have absorbed, soaked in so much like a sponge. There's going to be a time that there will be a pouring.
Wow. Mrs. Imaobong, I'm really taking a lot in this conversation. It's really insightful. It's really thought-provoking.
Sorry, let me tell you something.
Yes.
Professor Taiwo Windo, the head of psychiatry, Nigerian Association of Psychiatry, then in 2000 said over 16 million Nigerians have mental health history, including me and you. We're in that number. You understand?
Yes.
Over 60 million from the number that we have. Go and check the statistics.
That's rather
It is.
disturbing.
It is.
It's disturbing. But let's pause here. When we come back, we'll go into some of the ways that we can start to work on this, some of the ways that are already in progress, and what we can do to add to see how to, mitigate all of this. If you're following this conversation, you can see that we are heading towards a path where we're narrowing down the conversation to a Nigerian perspective. But we will take that up after the break. Please stay with us. If you're just joining us, this is EmpowHer, and we are discussing child and women trafficking. We have with us in the studio, Mrs. Imaobong, and she's helping us to dissect this issue. Thank you for staying put, Mrs. Imaobong.
Thank you.
So taking off from where we left just before the break, how then do we provide structural protection systems or stronger protection systems for women and children who are being trafficked?
So Ruth, there's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. So let's say in a village, let's paint the picture in a village, and what you have a teacher, you have a police officer, you have a clergy, you have the traditional leaders, you have blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And then you put a child in the middle, and then the trafficker is coming, and then all these people hold hands, like build a tight brick wall. Do you think the trafficker will penetrate?
No.
So everything starts from within. It starts from home. Number one, if you have a child, make sure you are responsible. Raise your child. Don't leave your responsibility for another person. That's one thing. People run away from their responsibility and they have children. So parenting is number one. Why? You didn't fall from a tree. I didn't fall from a tree. We have parents.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say there's no parent, I'm an orphan. We have the immediate family, the extended family, isn't it? Okay, there's none. We have the community. Can you see how it goes now? And again, there should be an awareness. We must beware. We must beware that human trafficking is actually real. So by the way, what is human trafficking? It's all about the recruitment, the transportation, the harboring, the transfer of humans through deceit, exploitations, abuse of power or vulnerability for the purpose of exploitations. And exploitations are in three: sex, labor, organ harvest.
Sorry to just cut you. Now that you even mentioned sex and labor, I have one more report.
Okay.
To help just drive, so
Okay.
you can just join them together and give us
Okay.
a response. So, Nigerian women constitute a higher percentage of vulnerable sex workers in Italy, the Netherlands, Belgium, Ireland, Swiss, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Libya, etc. Maybe you can just help us to bundle this and
Okay,
what
when
you're
you
saying
talk about
together.
in this space, we call it commercial sex work. In some countries, commercial sex work is legalized. Yes, yes, yes. So let's not go into that. But we are talking about human trafficking and exploitations of women.
Yes.
So WOTCLEF founder, Her Excellency Titi Atiku Abubakar, saw girls naked, stark naked in Italy, in the cold. And she was wondering what they actually came to do in Italy. You see, the issue, let me just clarify. If you decide to be a commercial self-worker, that's your decision, you understand? And you do the work and get the money. You understand?
Okay.
But if now I take you, give you over to her, and she gives it over to another person, you make the money. By the way, victims don't get anything. They don't make any money. It is so bad to the extent that some victims have health issues that they can't even have the money to treat themselves. So they are flushed aside to the extent that even common towel, sanitary towel, they can't buy, and they do all the work. 14, 15, 20 men. This is not exaggeration. And sometimes they have to go on drugs because they have to meet up that target. They are owing madam, and they owe in dollars, please. They don't owe in naira. They owe in dollars, so they have to meet up. So in some of these countries, like you said, some places are so landlocked. Nigerians and Africans are going through a lot. It is that bad. We have someone who just rescued. She was taken through 4 different countries. So it's that bad. The brutals and everything. We in 2022, through the support of FIAP, through the Spanish Embassy and NACTAL, I was in the team that went for the rescue of, we could only rescue 20 girls. It was said that over 20,000 Nigerians are trapped there in human trafficking in Mali. So we came back with 20. So in that, I was the mental health therapist in that entourage. Okay. We came back with 20. One was actually pregnant. One, it is bad, my sister. It is bad. See, human trafficking, humans are just commodities. They are just, how much do you sell it? Okay, I'll buy, bring, exchange. So the main thing is that the supply, where's the supply chain? If there's no demand, would there be a supply? Exactly. And you see that supply, aside global and external issues, there are also, what is happening here is bad. See children, women in brothels. See children, women locked up in some facilities and space. Human trafficking is one of the most heinous crimes that has every other thing in it. Yes, other crimes are in human trafficking. Sometimes the victims are mules for drugs, for illicit trade and everything. So sometimes you just believe that we are doing so much work. Why is it like a drop in the ocean? Why? Because the cartels are not seen. So when you see a triangle, that's how human trafficking works. Those are enjoying, they are at the peak. Those who are doing the foot soldiering work, they are here at the base. And the cartels, they are very rich. They are so, in fact, it's one of the richest trade after arms and drugs.
That's really disturbing. That's definitely disturbing. But I'm really glad that we have you today. You are talking from experience. You're not talking from a place of hearsay. So I'm really glad that we're hearing it directly from you. Just before we let you go, because our time is spent, the Nigeria's National Action Plan on Human Trafficking is rounding up,
Yes.
It's 2022 to 2026 implementation.
Yes.
What are some of the things that, you've seen that have gone well? What are some of the gaps that we're still looking at? What do you hope for going into the next cycle?
I think one of the, sincerely, let's give it to Nigeria. Ever since WOTCLEF led the legislative advocacy that established NAPTIP,
Yes.
in those days it was just as if we are talking about, how can you say they are dealing with human beings? It's a lie, it's drugs, it can only be drugs, it can only be blah, 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 blah. But now people have accepted the reality of human trafficking. So the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has established different commands, at least all over Nigeria. And there's something called the Service Providers Accountability and Responsibility Committee, SPAC. They are working. And then we have state task forces.
Yes.
Those are really good ones. And you have network like NACTA in the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria. So there's networking and referral. That has gone well. Aside that, the law enforcement agencies, one of the pluses is the coming of FIAP through the Spanish embassy that worked with NAPTIP, NACTA or CSO, immigration and the police. So there's a lot of synergy and networking. And then talking about the state task forces, where the Attorney General is the chair. Yeah. You see in each state where the state task, I think it's only in 2 states that we don't have state task forces. Yeah. Yes. This has been really helpful. It has helped people to own issues of human trafficking and address it as an epidemic, yes. Address it. When it was COVID time, they said social distancing, wear nose mask. Yes. We did all those things just because we wanted it out of our vicinity.
Yes.
So also this has really helped. But when you talk about funding and you talk about logistics, it can be challenging, I'm telling you. NAPTIP, we have to give it to them. The short code 627 is very helpful. And the NAPTIP toll-free line, and the fact that the rapid response too, they have separated the issues of gender-based violence and human trafficking, you can see. So it has really been helpful. So to say, we have the red card, and then we have the fact that human trafficking organizations have different organizations like the law enforcement agencies. They have human counter-trafficking decks. That has been very helpful. Yeah. For the plan of action that you said is already expiring.
Yes.
So it's not a whole of government and the whole of society. We are still coming together to look into what has worked and what has not worked. In some places, what has worked, like, let me give it to Lagos State, for instance. Lagos State is doing fantastically well. For instance, like the Neighborhood Watch, that's a very special, they are so good in their anti-human trafficking activities.
Yes.
So also like NACTA now, we have what we call referral pathways. And then through NACTA, the West African Coalition Against Trafficking in Persons and Smuggling of Migrants, WOTCLEF, has been established. So we have a lot of, in fact, we didn't, if we came here to analyze cases, we will not finish. Yeah. So we have had a lot of rescues, a lot of support through WOTCLEF, the West African countries, and bringing in girls. One particular case was a man who has been crying for the past 2 years. He just went online, Googled my name, just like you did, just called me. He said, he was crying. Okay, I said, please, just give me a few minutes. Immediately I got to Ghana. Immediately I got to Mali. Immediately I got to the NACTA president, Abdul Ghani Abubakar. The girl that has been missing for 2 years, when we described her, we gave her real names. The man said it is true because her real name was from Nigeria, but she has been given a new name. The man said it is true. They said, do we know the location? The last phone call she made, the brother was able to, young people now.
Yes.
And lo and behold, our people in Mali, they went, they visited. Within 3 days, this girl was out to Bamako. And she's reintegrated with her brother. I hope I can connect with her so that she can come and tell her stories. She was sold for sexual exploitation. And her name was changed. So it was as if she was forgotten.
Yes.
So you see this networking and referral, I am telling you, is really helpful.
This is such commendable work. Such commendable work. And
Thank
can
you.
I give it to you too? I hear you handing out to everybody. Let me give it to you too. You're doing such a good
Thank
job
you, Ruth.
with
Thank you.
WOTCLEF, with your mental health awareness, you know, with WOTCA, what's it called?
NACTAL.
NACTAL rather. You're also doing an amazing job. Thank you
you.
so much. And you came here to sensitize us to do this with us. We are so grateful. Just before we let you go, I'd like you to look into your camera and leave our audience with a word. Speak to someone. Could be a victim, could be a parent who is stuck and is considering giving their child out to someone who is, you know, offering to take their child. Just leave our audience with something today.
So dear parents, children are gifts from God. It is our responsibility to care for them. Children need two things: love and care. There is no amount of child labor that can break the cycle of poverty. Please let the children have their dreams. Children have dreams and they have talent. So two things: education and empowerment. If children can't go through that Western education, please empower them so that they can fulfill their futures. And again, human trafficking is real. A crumbled life can never be repaired. We must end human trafficking. Allow the victims to speak out, because victim voices truly lead the way. When we hear the experiences of victims, we will understand what people go through. We must join hands together, whole of government, whole of society, and work with the media to end this menace, end human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Imaobong. This has been such a valuable and thought-provoking conversation. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you, Ruth.
So you can see that protecting women and children requires more than laws and enforcement. It demands awareness, it demands collaboration, and even the communities, you know, that are equipped to recognize vulnerability before it becomes exploitation. Thank you for joining us on Empower today. I'm Ruth Joshua. Until next time, do take care.